Hey everybody, welcome back to Champnsons and our new College Football 27 series here, where we're going to start out a little differently. We're going to start out in the town of Nacogdoches, Texas, following a town really not known for anything, but come to the young man's senior season, old Jasper Champion, the quarterback of the Nacogdoches High School team. He did start to put them on the map with a hell of a journey that he had before him. Now, his senior year, he came in as just a lowly two-star prospect, but was able to kind of start to work his way up the charts. He started developing a lot more and really grew in that senior season to be able to hit passes that he wasn't able to before, to be able to, connect on different receivers, going on different patterns, and it really started to earn him some notoriety. Now, players from Nacogdoches normally don't get this kind of notoriety, but hey, you start making plays, anything's truly possible in that realm, and that's what he did. He started making plays little by little, throw by throw, and he worked his way up. Starting out, like I said, as a two-star quarterback, he would eventually become a three-star by the end of his senior year and have some very few scholarship opportunities to Power 5 schools, but to really be able to play, he had an opportunity at three main ones, being North Texas from the Conference USA, Texas State that went to the Pac 12, and Sam Houston State. But get the Bobcats out of there, he said. No need for them. And looking at the Bearcats as a possibility, gets to play early, gets to have some fun there. But no, that's not going to be it. Not the Bearcats either. There's only one team screaming his name, and that is the Mean Green Eagles. He would leave Nacogdoches and take his talents to the, I guess, slightly northwest of there, to Denton, Texas, where he would ride the bench his first season, and then he would eventually get the start going into his second season there with the Mean Green. And he would have kind of a tough beginning. He's taken on Big 12, just coming off another Big 12 championship, Texas Tech Red Raiders. He would take them on and really had some good moments, but other than that, had some pretty rough ones, to say the least. It was definitely going to be a learning process for old Jasper there in the green and white of Denton, Texas. But he kind of knew that. He expected that to happen. And just, you don't expect it to happen that often in a single game. But hey, you know what? It did. Things occur. You kind of get over it, you move on, you learn from it is the biggest thing. And I think that's really what Jasper did. He's able to take the reins after that game and really grow into a top tier kind of quarterback. Um, Being at a school that doesn't really produce top tier quarterbacks, he did grow into that. He became the kind of guy who, you could put him in the backfield, put him under center. You could put him in charge of an offense, and he was going to do something great with it. He just was. He took North Texas to all different kinds of heights and bowl games, to back conference title games. Unfortunately, he was not able to win those, but he did pull off some big upsets in bowl games, such as here in the Pinstripe Bowl. Actually, no, this is the Fenway Bowl, which I would have expected them to do a better job mapping out Fenway Park. You're going to play at Fenway. There's one key detail that you don't see on this that Fenway has. It's the green monster. It's the monster wall. You got to put that in there. I'm sorry, you just do. Um, but all the way up to Boston in the Fenway Bowl to play against the Virginia Tech out of the ACC and this little Conference America team. Jasper takes him not just to this game, but puts a pretty good beat down on him. He's going to be unfazed. He shows that he's got capabilities. He's grown from every snap that he has taken. And it's something that lack of fear is what really kind of grew within him, and he's starting to instill in some of his teammates too, making some plays across the middle that most guys wouldn't be willing to make. But now, his receivers are more than willing to step up for him. They see the leadership that he is, and it's just one of those things. It's rubs off on everybody else. It's I forgot what it's called, but either way, it's something that everybody else can get. Um, and he would take them to beat teams like Virginia Tech. Now you could say they're 7-5. They're still an ACC team with the money and the power in a Power Four conference. We're in conference. We're in the American Athletic Conference, and he took them. He took this Mean Green team to places it shouldn't have been. And what did that lead for him? That led for him an opportunity in the NFL. He would get that call on draft day from the Indianapolis Colts, and that is where he would be headed. A first round pick, 14th pick in the draft. He goes to Indianapolis, and he'd have a semi solid career. It wouldn't be as long as you would hope. He got injured. His injuries would kind of rack up, but he did do a lot of good there. He won a conference championship. Did take the Colts to the Super Bowl at one point, but was just unable to win a Super Bowl for them. However, it's moments like that that really test you as a player. And he got tested week in and week out. And like I said, the Super Bowl was the biggest one for him. It's the height that everybody reaches to. It's what he strived for. It's just one of those mountains he could not get over. It's not saying he didn't play well in it. He did play incredibly well in the Super Bowl that he got to, but it's just the way the league works sometimes. There's no guarantees in the league, and his opportunity wasn't guaranteed either. He earned it, and he tried to take advantage of every shot that he got. And sometimes you get to the Super Bowl and win, and sometimes you get to the Super Bowl and lose, and sometimes you don't even get to the damn gold Super Bowl. But injuries would riddle his career, and that would be his biggest setback, kind of going forward with playing the game of football. So sometimes you got to understand you may not be done with the game, but essentially the game is done. I felt like this taking hits like that. He can still make some plays.
It's a pickup of 46 yards. And the Colts
Heartbreaking.
first down. First and 10 at the 24-yard line.
Sometimes you just need to go home. And that's what Jasper would do. And Stephen F. Austin, the local college, moving up from the FCS into the FBS, would decide to put in a phone call to him. They're like, dude, look, we think you can do it. We'd like you to come coach the Lumberjacks. So here's Jasper Champion reviewing that contract, looking at what he's got. It's a low program, just entering into the FBS, following suit with North Dakota State, Sacramento State this year. But like I said, needing to be around the team, he's not done yet. So he signs that contract and stays home here in Nacogdoches to take a role that's going to be pretty daunting. But why not? He's been an underdog his whole life. Started out as a 2-star recruit. Made it all the way to the NFL draft. Actually ended up being a first-round pick. Made it to the Super Bowl. So why shouldn't he try to give his hand at coaching? And why shouldn't he take on a challenge like bringing up an FCS school such as Stephen F. Austin? So looking at what he's got available to play with, this is kind of rough. Um, Not a whole lot is there for him with dynasty points. That's definitely going to be an issue, just at least at the start. Um, I'm interested to see. I know everybody's talked about the NIL. You can see videos all over YouTube talking about the NIL and the recruiting and how that impacts it and all this stuff. And you see guys obviously do like a quick little, here's how recruiting, here's how I rebuilt North Dakota State with recruiting, a 5-year thing. And they spend an hour and a half just kind of skimming through what they did. Um, but I do think when you take a real hard look at it, it's not going to be something so simple as here's the keys and tips and tricks to recruiting. Here's the tips and tricks of building up your school. I could have technically gone through and we really could have just, because I had enough to start, enough dynasty points to just hammer home a big old like players lounge 300. I mean, I've got dynasty points. I could use those, you know. Um, but I didn't want to do that. And looking at kind of the lifespan of these things, that was a big important factor. So do little by little, right? So take something that you can develop, and just do little by little, just really kind of build the program. And so for the next year, 31 weeks, we're gonna have branded equipment in our room. It's not anything major, but then again, we don't have a shit ton of points to spend either. So take it for what it is. It could have. And I did think about it for a second, just adding in something else, but I don't. I want to see how all of that stuff impacts with NIL recruiting, all these different dynasty points that we need to have. So that's going to be the interesting thing. Now, adding in prospects, we just talked about recruiting a little bit. I want to be able to try to shoot for a couple 3 stars, right off the bat. It's one of those things that may not completely happen yet, and I have a feeling some 3 stars we're going to have to fight for a little bit more, and I don't really want to be completely in that position either, right? So one of the things I'm going to look at, obviously, is position needs right now, because we really got to hit what we need. And after position need, second thing isn't so much their star caliber, or even their overall ranking. It's more of a, what about the pipeline? Where are we sitting within the pipeline? Is this a level tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? And keep in mind, our whole pipeline is pretty much Texas and slightly into Oklahoma. That's what we got for our pipeline. It's pretty solid. It's what I would expect for our school. Maybe once we get into recruiting and we're down to like week 10 and we could find someone, maybe Louisiana, start stretching out into there a little bit. Some player that's been kind of lost in the bayou, if you will, that we can kind of snatch up, even if it is for just a year. It might be worth it. And some of these guys, I'm looking at the expected NIL, right? I know how much I have. I don't want to get someone that's got, like McSorley right there. He's got 30 NIL expectation. That's his 30 whatever. That's his expectation, right? So obviously to try to get him, because I'm going to be competing with other guys for him, other schools, is going to have to go over that 30. Maybe look at 35 to 40, but that's going to impact expectations down the road. And so you got to be careful with it. I think it's easy to look at, YouTuber go, oh, I did a 2-year rebuild and boom, or 3 years and got him. Or look at my tips and tricks. Here's what you do. Find yourself a 3-star and overshoot them. Hand them all over. Boom, now you got the guy. And that's fine. I guess that'll work for that year, but it's not always about getting them. It's about keeping them. So that's what we're going to try to do. Like I said, we're going to keep looking at our tier pipeline, or pipeline tier. We're going to go for the guys that we need at the positions that we need. And I'm fine with the NIL expectation being 0, because that way if we do offer them 5, maybe that'll excite them enough to sign over. Firstly. Secondly, that's not that much. So if coming in the next couple of seasons they want a little bit more because we're doing a little better, then you know what? I don't have to give them 30, NIL at that point. I give maybe 10 or 15 because the baseline is 5. It's different patterns like that, and it's things I haven't really seen too much be out there in all the recruiting tips videos, and so forth like that. So that's going to be our theory to it. That's going to be the way we're going to look to process these recruits. So just kind of keep that in mind as we go. If you ever end up asking yourself, what in the hell's he doing? Well, that's my theory behind it is let's get some guys and maybe a 0 NIL expectation, so we can lowball them as much as possible, versus a higher NIL kind of people. But I'm also going to do one other thing. I want to see how far can we push them without offering NIL, right? Can we go ahead and get that soft verbal commitment without the NIL push? How hard is that going to actually be? And do we need to offer NIL to be able to get there? Or once we get to it, like say they're in the top 5, we're there, they give us a soft verbal commitment. If we then just boom, all right, your NIL expectation is 0. Well, you know what? Because I'm a nice guy, I'm going to give you 5. If you do that, is that going to be kind of that immediate push to the hard commitment where they won't leave? They won't decide to back out, that kind of situation. I haven't seen too much on that, but I'm just hoping that we'll be kind of, we'll see how that works out. It's going to be a lot of different testing with this stuff. And the thing is, we got so few hours, we're going to have so few guys to recruit that trying to reach out and stretch for guys that are beyond their level doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we need to take advantage of the recruiting that we can get whenever we do. So, all right, we're not allowed to offer scholarships here in the off season. Fine. Let's take a look at scouting. Everything is still 10 points. Now, coach points, I only had 35 to start. Obviously, I used for recruiting, and you'll see that here. I generally always do the recruiter tree. I think last year it was really motivator for the most part, maybe scheme guy, very few times, but I went on ahead and generally stick with the recruiter. Now, one thing that's weird is you only get 35 to start. These things are 15, 20, 25, and then 30 points. So last year, man, if you had 25, because each one of these was like worth 8 points or whatever, if you had 25, you could just boom, 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 real quick. Now you have 35, and you're not able to advance hardly anything. You can select 1, yeah, or maybe 2, I guess. You can select 2 of those and then move it over. But yeah, I don't know. It feels kind of wonky to me being this way. I do use it to scout offensive linemen, to at least lower the time frame on that. Not only because I am scouting offensive linemen, but because I do think linemen are a major need to be able to protect a quarterback. And as long as your guys are playing, I don't think you have. Okay, so in previous years at least, as long as they're playing, and even those that don't play, there's not too much of maybe a couple transfer here or there, but there's not too much of a chance of them leaving. So it really does kind of work out for you to go with some linemen, and this way they're the cheapest that I can get them. So that's kind of what I stick with. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. Now, speaking of the devil, speaking of the linemen, let's take a look at some of these guards that we pulled off. Let's see, Denton Teague. Let's get him scouted. It's only 3 times instead of 4, so I guess that's not horrible. Run block power 70, impact 73, just run block 76. That's not actually all that bad. I can do something with that kind of player, especially with some of the talent that we're going to be playing against here in the Sun Belt Conference, because that is where Stephen F. Austin has decided to put themselves in, is the Sun Belt Conference. And I think that's a smart play. That's a smart realm to go into. Conference USA is pretty lackluster for the most part. The American Athletic Conference, they've got a lot of good teams, but we just don't have the money to even really be a part of that one because they're starting to get a larger money flow. And then Sun Belt Conference, I think, works pretty well for us. It kind of fits into what we do here and kind of what the expectations are, I think, as a whole. So, very solid way to get in. Now, 12 recruits, we do have them pretty much all scouted for the most part, just finishing off some of these last little scouting points. Prince Finger, linebacker, Prince Finger. All right. Hit power 74, acceleration 80. See, that's not that bad, but his awareness is 59. That's pretty low. 77 tackle, 69 play recognition, not horrible, but 59 awareness. That is really bad. Like, really dang old bad, to say the least. So, trying to get all these guys scouted, it's obviously going to be a pain. We are not going to have very many hours when it comes to the regular season. I think we all can understand that. But we're going to make the best of it that we can, right? Like, that's just what we do. We just make things the best of it that we can. Look at that. All right, tackle, our number one recruit, 77 blocking, 77 run. I like that kid. That kid's got potential to be a multi. Obviously, he's going to be a multi-year starter, I think. But now let's see about a quarterback here. Juan Lareyo. Break sack 60. Speed looks pretty good. Actually, deep accuracy is in a 79. We don't have enough to get him fully scouted, but we'll take what we can get. I think that kid's going to be pretty good. Now, looking at our schedule. So here's what's funny about this. Sun Belt Conference has 6 conference games, is what they say. I don't know. I guess that's the way it is in real life because I didn't change that aspect on any of those things. I did just change the location of the conference championship game because I got to assume eventually we'll be there, maybe. We'll try. And so I didn't change those rules, just where the conference championship game is played. They deserve to have a location to play it instead of just the teams, the number one team's home field. But part of that, having not taken that rule, is you get 6 conference games, which means you need 6 non-conference games. And I figure with our new school, let's add some history to it. We used to play when our school first came along, 1917, our football program. We used to play teams like Texas because there weren't that many teams in Texas, so we played teams like Texas. And I think we need to get back into it. That is going to be one rivalry game. It's going to be hard to win. We probably won't play it every year, but I think we definitely do need to get into. So we are going to start off the season on the road against the Longhorns. Now, in reality, they would be paying us to go there to get trounced, and I would like to think that'd be at least a couple mil at this stage. But that's just the way it's going to work. So we do add Texas in there as one of the rivals. Right now, the rivals that Stephen F. Austin has, it is Texas, it is North Texas, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M. We swing for the fences here in Nacogdoches, to say the least. With all but North Texas, these things are going to be some pretty hefty games, to say the least. Pretty hefty games. And so, speaking of, we have a chance to put in a second rivalry game. I like it. This one at home. We'll do a home and home series with North Texas. The UT game, I don't think, like I said, we're going to play them every year. I got to fill that. I want to fill those other ones in with Texas Tech and A&M. So we'll kind of see how that kind of plays out. But some of the other non-conference schedules, Miami of Ohio being in the MAC, not a big deal. Syracuse in the ACC, I just don't see them being that. I just really don't. We'd play them in the middle of the season. I guess, but I don't like that one, especially being at home. So I'm going to change that game up to Nevada. And then North Carolina, no way North Carolina travels to our stadium in the middle of the season. Beginning of the year, home and home contract, maybe. But why would an ACC team, who at times has competed for the ACC championship, sign a home and home series with a team from the Sun Belt Conference? Right? Like, you may play them multiple years in a row, but we would play them at their stadium. So I add in another former FCS foe in North Dakota State. They moved up this year just like us. So we're going to play them. We're going to see who was the biggest and baddest. We didn't get to play them in the playoffs last year because we lost, but minor detail there. All right? That's not what this is about. It's about now. And we've got our schedule set for this upcoming season, folks. That is where we will start out in Austin. And who are those guys that are going to start out for us there? Our senior quarterback, Scott Roper. He's a pocket passer, 6'3", 209 pounds, out of Situate, Massachusetts. Huh, I'll be damned. Okay. 82 speed. That's actually not bad for a pocket passer. It's kind of shocking to see that. He's a 75 overall. Decent awareness, but still, that's the starting quarterback where, things can go south relatively quick on you. Possibly so. He is the best we got, though. Now, looking at halfback, Mitchell Daniels will be one of our star playmakers in the backfield. He is a junior. Championship contender is his deal breaker. We do not match that, so he's probably going to be gone after this season. Maybe I can play him so poorly that nobody wants him. Ooh, there's a theory. Guy wants to transfer, take him out of the game, then he can't transfer. Just don't play him. Put him on the bench. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, looking at our running backs, it's going to be kind of a struggle. Daniels does have 91 speed, but Marshall's at 88, Graves at 86. Cook is down there with a 90 speed and 93 acceleration. But if you look at a lot of the other spots, awareness and all that, he's pretty down low on the totem pole there. That's kind of the difference between Daniels and Marshall, too. Fairly even for a lot of the chunks, but where you start to see the differences on the awareness, on the break tackle, on the ball carrying and stuff like that. So, got to keep that in mind. Now, you're going to see a lot of these receivers have the deal breaker. And normally, it's always playing time because they're not going to have any playing time after this season because, well, it's their senior year of college. Now it's a little different. You start seeing championship contender and so forth, which doesn't make any sense. Why would they still be there? But Kipper is going to be our main receiver. Claiborne coming in at 2. Hoffrichter coming in the slot. And then Marsh as well will be filling time. McCabe should see some time on the field, but probably not hefty time out there. Not a whole lot of speed in our receiver group. And I do like having some speed in that group, but not a whole lot right now. We'll have to see about getting them developed, getting them brought up, what we can do about that. All right, now looking at tight ends. Preston Tramer is going to be our starting tight end, 69 overall. Although Montgomery might see some time too. It kind of depends on the plays that we do. Kramer is a vertical threat. And, looking at some of these side-by-side stats with him and our other tight ends, it doesn't look like he's all that much more. In fact, some areas he's even less. But I think his awareness is one of those things that separates him out. Being able to know what's happening on the field, where to go, who to block, things like that are important enough that he is definitely higher. He's a higher overall, and he's our number 1 tight end. Now, looking at the offensive line, it's going to be rough. We're going to have to be on the run a little bit, I have a feeling. And that's okay. Sometimes that happens. That's just not really what you want to have happen, if you know what I mean. But another way to think about that really is, hey, glass half full, it leaves us room to develop some guys, right? And I think we've got some of that coming in with, if you look at our sophomore that we've got, along with our freshman at center, we've got capability. It's just going to be bringing them along, bringing them along the road, you know. And even if you look at our sophomore as backup center in just this one position alone, run block, one run power block, run block finesse. He's up there. It's just some fine tuning work is all that's needed. So that's going to be kind of what we're doing with our offensive line, at least here to start, and kind of depending on some of the freshmen that come in, who knows what's going to happen with them. I'm looking at some of the other on the right side of our offensive line. Josh Toon will be our starting right guard. He's a 76 overall, one of our higher rated, obviously, linemen that we have. Good strength. Awareness at 77. You'd like to see that be a little bit better, especially coming from a guard position. Somebody who's going to have to be pulling and finding those blockers. But hey, that's kind of what we'll take right there. And then at right tackle, we've got George Metzger. 87 strength, 81 awareness. We've got some talent. It's just whether or not we can use that to its full capability. Now, on the defensive side, we will see some lower rated guys once again. Brandenburg is 72 overall left edge. He is going to be our starting edge guy. But what you do like to see is he's got an 89 acceleration with an 80 speed. He's a power rusher. That's a lot coming off the edge that we've got actual potential. He can do stuff. I have a feeling he can be a disruptor within the conference. It's, maybe he's not getting 3 or 4 sacks a game. Maybe it's just 3 or 4 pressures a game. But that's kind of what you need from those guys. Now, on the other side, Kurt Lincoln is going to be a 68 overall. He's going to be sharing some time with Prude, obviously, who's only 67 overall. But he's going to take some work. I mean, he's a sophomore. He's going to take some work to get him kind of really where he needs to be. But his finesse moves, power moves are actually pretty decently rated. So if we can get those brought up, he can be that disruptor as well. Up the middle, it's obviously going to be a concern. Hearns and McFoy are going to be our top 2 guys. Up the middle, we do run the 4-2-5. So expect to see them out there on the field a lot. They don't have in speed. Obviously, strength is kind of where they make up for that. Hearns being a 79 strength, McFoy being 86. These are guys who, at least I think within the conference, have potential to be a disruptor up the middle and kind of limit some of those run games. It's just how consistent can that be, and how much can we make sure they stay on the field and we don't just completely wear and tear them down. All right. Now, coming into the linebacker realm, I don't want to say you see a drop off, right? Because it's what we expect. But you do see kind of a drop down. Russ O'Neill being a starting linebacker, 72 overall. Speed is 83. That's okay for the linebacker spot. Going to be taking on some tight ends, but obviously these are not going to be power 5 tight ends who've got a bunch of speed to them. He might be able to maintain a little bit with them, but this is where I think we're going to start seeing in the pass game. We're going to have to be running a lot more blitzes. Or a lot more zone blitz scheme. That's what we're going to have to be doing. Guys like Pfeiffer Sr., Mike linebacker, 79 overall, 81 speed, but an 84 awareness. And that's what's going to take off. That's why with those zone blitzes, if we do it right, call it at the right time, guys like Pfeiffer can get into the backfield and maybe get a sack or 2. Now, Larry Spiegel, another one of our linebackers, 69 overall. He's going to be sharing time with Shatu. He's going to be sharing time with him. And it's going to be interesting to see some of those guys take shape and see what happens with our, not just our front 7, but our defensive backfield. Because Elliot Simonson is going to be leading the way, senior corner, 91 speed. He's got 91 speed is pretty low for trying to cover receivers. So it's going to be, like I said, zone coverage is where we're going to be at. And if you look at a lot of our guys' zone coverage, I know Simonson has 82 man coverage, but he just doesn't have the speed to stick with guys. So while he may be fine in man, the safeties with zone are probably going to be struggling, but we'll kind of have to play that as ear, and it's going to be adjusting it team by team with what we do. For our corners and for our safeties as well. As you can see, Warren Morrison will be starting in the free safety position. An 86 speed. But he has an 80 awareness, so play recognition is on up there as well as something that we can try to take advantage of and hopefully maybe force a turnover or two, depending on how things go. But I will be needing him to remain healthy because Reinbold is a 65 overall. And you can see these differences in play recognition. Morrison at an 82, Reinhold at 65. Press coverage, I mean, he's not going to be playing on the corner ever, so I'm not too worried about that. His tackling is a little low, though, 63. That's kind of nerve-wracking for me. It's not really what I want to see, but kind of one of those, you take it as you go. Now, maybe Morrison can, lay the lumber on some people and get them to kind of be afraid of coming across the middle in that area. But I think he's going to be as solid as we got. It's one of those you get what you get and you deal with it. Jeremiah McLean coming in as our strong safety senior starter. There's not much of a difference between him and our other guys, which are younger. And so we may start to see some split playing time, as you see, outside of power and really tackling capability. They're fairly even across the board with actually him being negated some. But I think he's going to have experience we need right now. Now, let's go ahead and get into our first game of the season and kick this thing off the right way on the road in Austin, Texas, taking on Steve Sarkisian, Arch Manning, Colin Simmons, and the Texas Longhorns. Which, like I said, this is billed as a rivalry game from all the time that we played back early on in the days when our football program was just coming on in the early 1900s. So it's not anything that's super recent, and we have gotten killed pretty much during this whole time. But we did make them a rival for our school, so hey, we're going to look to be playing them every so often, so why not? So let's go and jump into this thing. And now this is going to be in our opening drive with a 4th down just on the other side of the 50 here. 9 minutes ago in the first quarter as Roper fires that one over. He's going to hit Claiborne, and he gets brought down. 4th and 3 becomes 1st and 10 for us all the way down at the 30-yard line. A good little drag pattern here. And since we don't have the blockers, we're going to have to get passes out very quickly. That's going to be the key. Be quick with our passes as we try to get this offense moving. And you can see the stadium is rocking here. But one thing I know about the Longhorns, being a fan of them, is they can be a little lackluster against some of these teams, at least at the start of it. So maybe we take advantage of that now as we get that run right up the middle, all the way down to the 19-yard line, gain of 11, and once again, another 1st down. So here we come out inside the red zone for the first time. Roper's going to be in the shotgun, 3 receivers set. Claps his hands, sends a man in motion. Claiborne goes behind him, has the snap, hands it off up the middle. He's got a hole open, and he goes down. Daniels with a decent little rush there for 5 yards, going to make it 2nd and 5. Daniels got 27 yards here on 5 carries. We are going to be using him a lot. We're going to have to be sure to rotate him out, or else his wear and tear is going to be destroyed if we don't. So 2nd and 5. It's going to be a little play action. Roper fires that one over to Daniels, and he gets hit for no gain. So, hey, whether he's running it or he's going out in a pass route, we're probably going to be getting him the ball a lot. You can see the pressure coming off the edges there from our offensive line. Not really being able to hold up. But then again, we didn't expect that too much against this team. This would be a money-making operation for us heading into Austin. Now 3rd and 5. As we send Claiborne in motion, has the snap, handoff to Daniels, going nowhere really. 4th and 5. Nowhere to go on that one. Not too shocked by that, really. Just didn't want to make sure to lose yards. And we are going to go for it, folks, because why not? Field goals definitely can't win us a game here on the road. So 4th and 5, fire that one over. We're going to hit Marsh, and he's going to pick up just enough to get down to the 9-yard line. 4th and 5 now becomes 1st and 10. Our second 4th down conversion on this drive. Going to be in a shotgun, 2 backs, 3 receivers set. Has the snap, handoff to Daniels going off right side there, and he gets hit and brought down, but not till after a gain about 7. He gets down to the 2-yard line as Mitchell Daniels picks up good yardage on that play. So 2nd and goal now from the 2. Still going with 2 backs just on the other side of Roper this time. Has the snap, quick throw to the middle. He's going to hit Hostrichter, and he gets brought down for no gain really on that one. I mean, he had to come back to the ball. I don't think he really had to keep his positioning, but I'm kind of guess in a sense I'm glad he did. Now 3rd and goal from the shotgun. Sends a man in motion. Has the snap. It's going to be a quarterback keeper. Takes it up. Touchdown. Lumberjacks. Oh, my goodness. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Roper runs that one in for the first touchdown of the season here. And he comes up big time on that drive and on that play, converting 2 4th down conversions. And that would give us the lead. Now here at the start of the 2nd, Longhorns on their ensuing drive. As our lead hopefully will stand, but Manning fires that one over the middle. He's going to hit Cam Coleman, and our lead is no longer standing. And that's all it really did take. Longhorns, like I said, they have a history of starting out slow against lower teams. And that's a real-life kind of history, and I guess, hey, good job for EA for putting that in the game. Downside to that, especially when you are the lower team, is that they sort of kind of get their act together later in the game. Now here we come on our ensuing drive. 2nd and 7 here, tie ball game. Roper has the snap, hands off the draw play over to Marshall, and that's going to be brought down. No real yardage gained on that one, kind of did get blown up, and no blockers were able to really get to that 2nd level. So 3rd and 7, 5 wide now. As Roper has the snap, blitz comes, fires it over the middle. He's going to hit Hoffrichter. He gets brought down after a gain about 5. 4th and 2. And Roper got plastered on that one. And so 4th and 2, because why not? Coming in the shotgun, 3 receivers left. Claps his hands, has the snap, fires that one over, hits Hoffrichter one more time. This time he got about 4 yards and the first down. 4th and 2 becomes 1st and 10. That hopefully will be a motif in this game regarding our offense. Although technically I don't want to have a whole bunch of 4th downs, if you know what I'm saying. So here we go. 1st and 10 now for this offense, because once again we converted. So 1st and 10 this time from about the 44-yard line on the plus side of the field. Roper's going to be in a shotgun, 2 receivers to the right side. Has the snap. Play action, pressure comes, fires that one up, and it's going to be intercepted by Phillips, and he's coming back at us. Tramer does bring him down for the stop. Oh, you got to be kidding me. That's the last thing we needed to have happen right there. First turnover of the season, first interception of the season. Why not let it happen all at one time, I guess? Get it all out of the way now. Cade Phillips for the Longhorns stepped in the way and snagged that one. Roper, though, didn't even see him, it looked like. He just saw Tramer coming across, but did not see him. Now that turnover would lead to a touchdown by the Longhorns. So here we come right back at him once again. Roper has the snap, fires that one over, and Phillips is going to step in front of it again. It's like Roper can't even see him. Phillips is just sitting there in his zone, sitting down, and just Roper's unable to see him. Back-to-back turnovers have led now to back-to-back touchdowns. So here come the Longhorns once more at the end of the quarter, as Manning does finally go diving down after a quick little scramble there. And our defensive line, so Manning and the Longhorns have thrown for 190 yards. Our defensive line has actually played decently with regards to the run game. Now, they've been throwing it all over us like they're doing right there as they hit Wingo on that one, as Manning gets over the 200-yard mark. But overall, we've done a decent enough job. I mean, it's 21-10. We were able to add on a field goal. But still, trying to keep him out is just, our defense needs to step up a little bit as we force Manning to throw that one away. And it goes through the uprights. Unfortunately for them, they don't get 3 points for that. So here they come on 2nd and goal, 15 seconds to try to keep this thing in a 2-score ball game. Send Coleman in motion, has the snap, fires to Coleman on the left side, and that's going to be caught for a touchdown. All right, I guess 3 scores it is. 3 scores, why not? Because that's better than 2 scores, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. The math ain't mathing on that one, but that's how this is finishing up in this first half. And to be quite honest, a 28-10 score, I think I could live with at halftime if if this was in reality, I could live with that being SFA. So you got to be kind of proud of what we were able to pull off. An almost 9-minute drive to start the game, and we got the game's opening touchdown. So we've shown we have capability. We just got to follow through and be consistent about it. Now Miami's shown they are more than capable as Mensah's led the Hurricanes to a 14-0 lead with 96 yards and a touchdown over the Notre Dame Fighting Irish there in South Bend. So this first half was an interesting one. It had a lot of ups and downs for us. I think more downs than ups, but hey, that happens sometimes. It's just the way of the world. But I think we are learning a lot about our team. Roper's been very effective for us and pretty impressive under pressure. So I'm excited to see what he's capable of doing for us. It's just making sure we're able to get a little bit more consistency. Now, they have 200 pass yards, but 25 rushing yards. We got 92 passing yards and over 100 rushing yards. So I think we're playing pretty well. We're just being outmanned right now. But hey, let's see if we can make some crazy stuff happen here to start the first or second half as we throw that one up to Hofrichter and it falls incomplete. Should have been probably caught, is what I would say. But nope, unfortunately, it was not. So 2nd and 10 now for our offense starting out this second half. Roper in the shotgun, has the snap, tosses it out to Daniels going right side, spins it back up the middle, and he's going to be brought down after a gain of 6. Daniels 54 yards on 11 carries. That's a fairly decent afternoon so far. Now I'm just going to say this, EA, I don't care how cloudy it is, September in Austin, you're not wearing that jacket for a 3 o'clock kickoff. Just ain't happening. As Roper scrambles and makes an idiotic throw and throws it away. And I get he's trying to hit Kipper, but Colin Simmons, who's a pretty big dude, was standing right there. Roper, with a dummy play of the week, had so much good happening for him, has decided that 3 interceptions is what you need in a game. And he's thrown his third one. And Colin Simmons, an edge rusher who had dropped back, and I mean, he's got speed, so I understand him doing that, but God, Roper just tried to force the action, and that was no good. Now, here we are trailing 31-10 as they hand that one off up the middle, and it's going to be stopped relatively quickly. Hollywood Smothers has had a rough go of it so far this afternoon, but the Longhorn offense has not as a team. They lead by 3 scores. Manning from the pistol, play action, rolls right, hits Winston, who gets brought down relatively quickly. Not a whole lot going there. Good job by this defense to keep everybody well covered up. 3rd and goal now. Manning and the Longhorns in a shotgun. 2 tight ends on the right side of the line, 2 receivers left. Has the snap. Pressure's going to come, and Pfeiffer's going to get back there. What a play by this Lumberjack defense. Came with the blitz, and Colin Pfeiffer, man, we talked about his capability to be able to get in the backfield on some blitzes, and he showed it off right there. Didn't have much to talk to Manning about, much Chitsky to be talking, but man, you make a sack on him, you talk all you want, good sir. I don't care if we're down by 21. So that was one of the top plays of the defense. There weren't that many of them. As you can see, the score is 44-10. The Longhorns have put in their backup players for the most part. And so we are just trying to narrow that gap. 44-10 is the score. We've kept our starters out for at least a little bit more. I need to see them get some good reps in. So Roper in the shotgun, 2 receivers left. Has the snap, play action, fires that one over. He's going to hit. Nope, he doesn't hit the tight end. He's looking for Jay Montgomery, but nowhere to go on that one. And so it falls incomplete. 2nd and 10 now from the shotgun, 3 receiver set. Daniels in the backfield. Hands off. He's got a hole open on left guard there. Going forward and picks up about 9.5 of the 10 yards needed. Good play by him to run that thing forward, to hit the hole, and to get to the point of attack. So now here comes 3rd and inches. Staying in the shotgun to try to give Roper some time. Claps his hands, has the snap back, hands off to Daniels up the middle. Hole opens up, and Daniels picks up a good run, and that sends him over the century mark. Wouldn't have probably thought a Lumberjack running back would put over 100 yards against this Longhorn defense, but he's able to pull that one off. So 1st and 10 now. After that run, Roper staying in the shotgun, 4 wide set, has the snap, blitz comes. He keeps dropping back, fires it over, hits Claiborne, breaks the tackle, and gets down at about the 4-yard line. Oh, they're going to mark him down at the 5. That's such weak BS. His 6th catch of the day for 50 yards, and that's 1st and goal, Lumberjacks. So here we come from the pistol, 4 wide set. Has the snap, blitz comes, and Roper's going to get sacked. Oh, Jesus. Bassett came off the edge there, just completely untouched. So we need to work on blocking a little bit. Let's get our blocking game under control. So 2nd and goal now. Roper staying in the shotgun, 4 wide. Looks like he's making changes before the snap. Has it in his hands. Holds steady, fires it to the back of the end zone. It's going to be caught by Kipper. What a play by this Lumberjack offense, not wanting to go away silently. And he goes into the Stone Man celebration where he just freezes. What a play. Taylor Kipper coming all the way across the field. Good thing he stuck with it. And because, I'm surprised our blocking held up like that, even though I know we are playing against backups. It still is a little bit of a shocker. But that would be the last score that we would put up. So the battle for Texas goes the Longhorns' way. That's what we called this thing. And Arch Manning completely dominated us. It happens. But I think we saw a lot of good spots here in this one. A lot of good things happened, and we got a pretty good, bright way forward. Now, while everything does finish up here in the game, I do want to thank y'all for joining. I want to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you have not hit it already, and give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the episode, you're excited for the series, you're excited for the game coming back for this year. And guys, I will see y'all in the next one as we get everything kicked off against a former, league opponent and an FCS team. We just left there. They're trying to follow us, and we're going to have to say no-go to them. But that will all be in the next episode. So as always, everybody, stay safe. And, well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Later, y'all.